Good morning. It took me some time to settle down. Okay, so we were reading chapter 4. Chapter 4 is on heedfulness or carefulness or conscientiousness, whatever is appropriate. Now, if we use the word carefulness, that basically or conscientiousness, whichever, but the meaning here is not letting you be controlled by negative emotions and to continue to make effort in cultivating the positive qualities. That's the meaning of carefulness. Not doing the bad things, but continuously practicing the virtuous practices. In one of the texts called Bodhisattva Bhumi, it speaks about 5 different types of heedfulness. First is related to past. If you have committed something wrong, something negative, and regret over it, and then rectify it, correct it in accordance with the teaching, so that is called heedfulness with reference to the past. Second kind of heedfulness is thinking that just like how I have rectified my past wrongdoings, similarly in the future also, whenever I commit a mistake, I will set it right. So that is called carefulness, aiming towards the future. Third is, as and when you see that you have committed something wrong, then without forgetting it, you would immediately set it right or rectify it. And that is called practice of heedfulness in between past and future. Okay? The third is, even before you commit a mistake, you should have this motivation that now I will live a life where I will not commit such a mistake. So this is heedfulness in advance before something happens. Then we have the last one. Whatever be the case, I'll make sure that I will not engage myself in negative deeds. This is the 5th kind of carefulness. So in short, abandoning the negative side and then relentlessly meditating on the positive counter forces and being careful. That is the definition of heedfulness.
of consciousness. Okay? So this is really being careful to make sure that you do not decline from what is desirable and alert, ensuring that such negative things do not happen. Okay. So we were reading verse number 7. Only the omniscient can discern the manner of the action of those who give up awakening but are freed. It is beyond the scope of ordinary thought. I missed reading that, and somebody asked that question also yesterday, right? So, only the omniscient, enlightened beings can discern or understand the manner of action of those who give up the awakening mind. Now, what we have been discussing is cultivating bodhicitta, awakening mind, and then giving it up is very negative, very sinful. Then a question arises, then how about those people who had given up bodhicitta, but still they are freed from samsara, from cyclic existence? So the answer that given here is, it is beyond the scope of ordinary thought, because the fruit of karma is so varied, so different, you cannot really say what is the cause of this, that. For example, we have now, our population is like 8 billion people, right? All these 8 billion people have noses, one nose for every person. But all these noses, if you compare, probably not exactly same. 8 billion noses. They look similar, but not exactly same. Twins, in some cases, they are very similar. Yesterday I was reading a news where it says there's an Indian, girl twin. So they look very similar like other twins. Not only that, they appeared in an exam, the number of the result was exactly same, 400 something. It's strange, Then people did research on the sameness of twins. One may be living in America, one may be in Russia. So they did a lot of survey. So interestingly, they found, not only their face looks similar, but their manner. For example, if one is wearing a black jacket here in America, the other at the same time is wearing a black jacket there. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's what he's saying. You cannot really say unless you're completely enlightened. That's the general explanation. But then, of course, there are other explanations also. One explanation which I thought was quite good was, even if you give up your bodhicitta, still you can be liberated. You can be liberated from samsara, because the root cause of samsara is ignorance. And the antidote to ignorance, the direct antidote to ignorance is not bodhicitta. It is wisdom, understanding, emptiness. So even if you had given up bodhicitta, if you develop wisdom, understanding, emptiness, you can cut the root of samsara, get liberated. This, I thought, is a good explanation. Okay? So anyway, if you give up bodhicitta, this, verse number 8, this for a bodhisattva is the heaviest of downfalls. For should it ever happen, the welfare of all will be weakened. Because you made a promise to look after the welfare of everybody, now you give it up, It's not just like cheating one person. It is cheating all sentient beings, right? So that's why people who are in the upper strata of the society, who are leaders, who make a lot of promises during the election, but then don't live up to their promise, I think basically it's very negative, very sinful. Because people expect a lot from you and they don't do it. It's very sinful from Buddhist viewpoint. And should others for even a single moment hinder or obstruct. So similarly, not only those who give up bodhicitta, but others who hinder that practice. And should others for even a single moment hinder or obstruct their wholesome deeds by weakening the welfare of all, there will be no end to their rebirth in lower states. That means you will be continuously born in the lower state. So that is what I was saying the other day. If you find good people doing good work, even if you are unable to support, don't ridicule them. Encourage them actually, support them, you see. So sometimes the problem is we highlight the bad things so much and hardly highlight the good things, especially in the medias. They need what they call as sensational news. So then we watch all this news, medias, and then we start thinking, oh, human nature is negative. Human nature is bad, which is absolutely not true. For example, if you take the example of a big city like New Delhi, in one day, how many killings will be going on in New Delhi, for example? What is the population of New Delhi? 20 million? Something like that, right? 20 million? Something like that. Anyway, big population. So in that big population, in one day, how many killings will be there? I'm not just saying death, killing. Countable. But how many people are looked after in hospitals? How many parents are taking care of their children? Unbelievable. Everybody, most of the time, is showing love, affection. It may not be the perfect unconditional love, but at least, they are caring each other, loving each other, taking care of each other. But we are not highlighting those things. So that's why we start thinking that the society is hopeless, the world is hopeless, people are hopeless, which is absolutely not true. If people are fighting all the time, for example, in New Delhi, if every family is fighting, every clone is fighting, then I mean, then you can't live in peace, of course. But that's not the case. It's running very smoothly, very nicely. There will be some problems here and there. So generally speaking, their nature is, I think, gentle. For example, when you go around in Meghalaya, anywhere, you see more people smiling than just fighting, right? So there is hope. But what we need to do is highlight these good things. Especially in the society, you need to highlight the good things, good work. That will naturally discourage people who want to do wrong things. Now, if you don't highlight your good work, don't support good people, strong people, still there are, people who are really bold to say the right thing and highlight the wrongdoings of the government or anybody. They need support. See, they need support. That's important, right? People's voice, especially in democracy. So don't discourage good people. And should others for even, okay, I read that. For if my being is impaired by destroying the joy of even one creature, then what need is there to mention destroying the joy of creatures vast as space? If my being is impaired, my being is impaired. Now that means that this verse is using reason why this is so, why obstructing good people doing good things, or why giving up bodhicitta is very negative and sinful. He's now explaining this with some reasons. The reason is, forget about disturbing many sentient beings. If you destroy the joy of one person, one creature, then this will become a cause and condition not to be born in a higher status in the future. So that's the meaning. For if my being is impaired means by destroying the joy of even one creature, if you destroy the joy of even one creature, your being is impaired, because as a result, next you will not be born as a human being or a celestial being. Now, if this is the case, then what need is there to mention destroying the joy of creatures vast as space? Right? Because then you are destroying the happiness of countless sentient beings. And therefore the result will be you will have to take rebirth in negative existence for countless lives, not just one time. Okay, that's what he's saying. Because when we talk about cultivation of bodhicitta, we are talking about achieving Buddhahood for the benefit of countless sentient beings. Now, if you are obstructing that, then the result will be you will be born in negative state of existence for countless lives. Now you might ask a question by saying, by saying that everybody makes mistake, so even if I commit such an infraction, I will restore it. You might think like that. I will regret it, repent it, and restore it. So where is the big harm? If you ask such a question, then it says, when you, for example, here, especially in this case, the Bodhisattva vow is not like the Patimoksha vow, the vow of a monk and nun. In the case of vow of a monk and nun, if you violate it, then you lose your monkhood. You have to disrobe. This is not the case when you break the Bodhisattva vow. You can again take it. So therefore you might think, okay, no problem, I make a mistake, then I will regret, repent, and take it again. If you think like this, then he says, the answer is, thus those who have the force of an awakening mind as well as the force of falling from it stay revolving within cyclic existence and for a long time are hindered from reaching the Bodhisattva levels. So that means, so if you mix your good practices with bad practices, there will not be much progress. If you want to go quickly, straight, don't look back. That is what he's saying. For those who have the force of awakening mind, for one time you have awakening mind, which means for one time you cultivate bodhicitta, you are very enthusiastic, and then next time you fall from that, you give up your bodhisattva vow, as well as the force of falling from it, then you are mixing these two practices, bad practices, good practice, one step forward, one step backward. You will be at the same place at the most, right? So in this with this kind of practice, you will stay revolving within cyclic existence. You will be where you are, and for a long time are hindered from reaching the bodhisattva law, because you are more or less, you remain more or less in the same place. Same place means samsara. You are in the samsara. You are trying to cultivate bodhicitta while you are in the samsara, and you did not make much progress. You took one step forward, one step backward. So you are basically in the same place. So it's like a man running and finding at the same spot. Right? Therefore, just as I have promised, I shall respectfully accord my actions. If from now on I make no effort, I shall descend to lower and lower states. So there is no choice. Nobody is punishing you. No external agent or force is punishing you. It is the way things are. If you continue to do good things, you will flourish, you will go higher and higher. But if you don't do that, make empty promises and don't practice it, then you are breaking a big promise. Therefore, big promises. You have developed bodhicitta. You made a promise that I will help all sentient beings become Buddha, achieve Buddhahood. And then, just as you have promised, if you don't practice it, there's a great downfall. So therefore, just as therefore you are saying now, you are reaffirming. Therefore, just I have promised, I shall respectfully accord my actions. Accord my actions means, I will practice in accordance with what I promised. I shall respectfully accord my action. Respectfully means you should really be happy that you are able to practice the precepts of Bodhisattva. Yesterday we read a line where we're saying, having cultivated bodhicitta, you rejoice by saying that, is it a dream? Is it a coincidence? How come that I got such an amazing opportunity to develop bodhicitta? Right? So therefore, you rejoice. Respectfully, delightfully, you live your life in accordance with the promise. Your action will be in accordance with the promise. Next, he is going to speak about how to protect, safeguard your practice, how to safeguard and protect your effort. Effort out of the 6 perfections. Effort means delighting in what you are doing. It's not just like working hard. Within the 6 perfections, when we say making effort, it means liking what you are doing, appreciating what you are doing, right? So therefore it is important to make sure that you continuously make the effort and see whether you are doing that or not. You need to safeguard it. So therefore he's saying, if from now, which means from today, if from now today on, if I make no effort, I shall descend to lower and lower realms. So that means right from now, if you don't adopt what you are supposed to adopt, and don't give up what you are supposed to give up, and thus if you don't make effort, then that means you will be transgressing the promises. You will be violating the vows. And therefore you will be next time born as an animal and so forth, and therefore go lower and lower into the state of negative existence in samsara. Now, having said this, you might again start thinking, yes, I should make effort, but it's not possible for me to make effort all the time. But there are Buddhas, Bodhisattvas who are there for us, to help us. So they will not send me to negative state of existence. And they will definitely take me to liberation and state of Buddhahood. If you think like this, that is where you are going to make a big mistake. Because in the past, look at the past, verse number 13. Although for the benefit of every creature, countless Buddhas have passed by. In the past also it is not the case that Buddhas did not come. Countless Buddhas have come. Countless Buddhas have taught, guided you. But look at your situation today. You are in the same place. Although for the benefit of every creature, countless Buddhas have passed by, I was not an object of their care because of my own mistakes. Right? The moon is there in the sky, shining. But you will not be able to get a good reflection if the water is turbid, dirty. Even if the hook of compassion of the Buddhas are there, but if you don't have the ring of faith, they cannot hook you out. Right? So therefore in Buddhism it's important to know that Buddha is a teacher. He's not a creator. He's not the creator of our happiness and suffering. He's only a teacher. He can teach you. He can encourage you. He can give you homework. If you don't do your homework, you will fail. Like in ordinary classes also, even if the teacher is really excellent, good, but if the students don't do their homework, they will fail. So it's up to you. And therefore, right in the beginning, as I cited this verse the other day, the Buddhas, or maybe not, sorry, the Buddhas, there is a verse which says, the Buddhas do not wash the sins of sentient beings with their water. The Buddhas can remove the sufferings of sentient beings with their hands. The Buddhas cannot transfer their realization into the mind of his followers. The Buddhas can only show the path of truth, path of suchness. They show the path of truth, path of suchness, and if you don't follow it, you cannot blackmail Buddhas. You cannot bribe Buddhas. Right? Right? Even in ordinary life, if you by hook and crook reach a high status by bribing and blackmailing, that doesn't work very long. Very soon you will fall down. It doesn't work because it is against the law of nature. So this is very important. Although for the benefit of every creature, countless Buddhas have passed by, I was not an object of their care because of telling people, this very common phrase that we use when we meet and then we separate, then we say, bye, take care, right? Nobody says, bye, I will take care of you. They will help you a little bit, but this is the bitter truth. This is exactly what is Buddha is saying, bye, take care. Because at the end of the day, unless you take care of yourself, none of your parents, none of your relatives, it's no good just saying my parents are not taking care of me, my brother is not taking care of me, my sister is not taking care of me. Pointless to blame like that. You see, we are living in a very strange world. People have different ways of thinking. Our mind is kind of twisted or polluted by the modern, gadgets and things like that. And the preferences of young people are different. The parents can't expect that the children do exactly what they want. And therefore we need to be very tactful, and we should also be able to protect ourselves. You see? You do as much as you can to those who you love, or others. But there's a limit that you can do. And so, okay. Enough is enough. Right? We all have to say goodbye one day, So say it, goodbye, okay. If you're not happy with me, okay, it's okay. I'll manage. In my case also, I have been thinking about that. I have some relatives, friends here and there. Some of them come and say, I'll be there with you, I'll help you. I said, don't worry, you help yourself. The one reason that I'm very bold right now is because I'm healthy. I'm not. When I get a little bit big problem, I may need other support. But my thinking at least is, look at the birds, animals. Just they die natural death, Up there, down there, very simple life. They are making their life very simple, because they don't know much than like us. Our mind is very sophisticated. We need so many things. We need eyeglasses to wear, I have never seen a bird or a cow wearing eyeglasses, right? Then with food also, this is organic, this is not organic, this is a lot of chemicals, this, that. We talk so much and sell so many things. At the end of the day, mostly, I'm not trying to be cynical, but mostly it's for money. People are doing that. And I don't know whether our health is better than the health of the birds and the animals. They don't use any medicine. How many birds died with the COVID-19? How many animals died with the COVID-19? Some of them might have died, we don't know. But in many cases, they are not so susceptible like us. So die like a bird, die like a cow. What is the big deal? I mean, it's easier said than done, believe me. But at least you should have some kind of attitude like that, Therefore, the famous Milarepa, he said, when I die, if there's nobody who cry after me, and in my cave, if there is no footprints of any human being, and when I die, at my entrance, there is no traces of blood. If I die in this way, then my wish is fulfilled. It's not like us, we think, if I'm surrounded by all my family members, then my wish is fulfilled. He is saying no. When his poor sister, had a great difficulty, she's an ordinary woman, and then her brother, Milarepa, renounced everything, was wandering in the snow mountain, completely naked, without any cloth, no sense of shame, no sense of concern. So the sister was trying to, moving from mountain to find out where he is, Then on few occasions she is able to meet him. Then she cries by saying that you call yourself a practitioner, you don't look like a practitioner. You are just a shameless vagrant. People wear clothes, you don't even wear clothes. Now look at you, you don't have a shame. He said, what? What shame? What I have right now is what I have when I was born. Amazing, such an advanced thinking, you see. Today we protect our body with clothes, but mind is not protected, thinking all the shameless things. And then another occasion she says, look at other teachers. When these other great teachers, they come, they had retinues, followers, they come on, horses with canopies, umbrellas, great ornaments, decorations, Look at you, you are shameless, naked. What kind of teaching is this that you are practicing? Then he responded by saying, if I want to do a fake dharma practice, then I can easily do what do you say? I can do much better than these people if I do a show business. You see, I'm doing genuine dharma practice. Then on many occasions, some of the villagers, they requested, you are staying up in the mountain, it is so cold, you will die, and we are also not able to receive any teaching from you. Please come down and stay with us. He would refuse. I'll come down just to give a teaching and go away. I mean, we may not be able to do exactly like that, but we should understand the reality that when you die, nobody can help you. Even when you are alive, nobody can help you in the true sense of the term. People can help you, but cannot help you in the true sense of the term, unless your way of thinking is correct, unless you yourself is on the right track. The other day I cited this verse, there's nobody who will catch hold of your hand and throw you into heaven. You remember that verse? right? So self is the protector of the self. While you are alone, when you are, dying, whatever, you have to have that way of thinking, that frame of mind. Okay? So this verse is very powerful. Although for the benefit of every creature, countless Buddhas have passed by, I was not an object of their care, not because of their fault, but it is because of my own mistake. So stop complaining, stop saying that it is due to everybody else, not me. As I said the other day, you cannot change those that is outside of you. You cannot change weather. You cannot change other people's way of thinking or how they react, what they do. And in fact, you should respect them. Even in the case of a married couple, it's wrong for the husband to think that the wife should dance at his doing. Similarly, it's wrong for the wife to think similarly. Just respect. This is another individual, exactly like me, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. She has her own capacity to think and plan, Respect that. Respect her wishes or his wishes. Right? And then get the best out of the two, living harmoniously. The marriage doesn't work because one is trying to control other, You do like this, you think like this, you go like this, you walk like this, you wear this cloth. You can never control. You can control some people for some time, but not all people all the time. You can't. And even if you think you are controlling, basically you are controlling, not controlling, because they are not happy with what you are doing. So mentally they are revolting. So how can you have happiness when you live with such people, you see? Unfortunately, there is no shortage of such people who are doing this. Okay? So when we say because of my own mistake, that means if you are, for example, if you are suffering from a chronic illness, which no medicine, no doctor can cure, then it's not the fault of the doctor. It's not the fault of medicine. It is the fault of your own disease, your own illness. Right? So therefore, it is because of my having done the negative things that I was not an object of their care. If you don't listen to those teachings, if you don't practice, and if you want to continue the way of thinking as you used to do, continue to live your life as you used to do, it will be very difficult, Many teachings normally don't help much because we judge the teaching in accordance with our way of thinking that you have already. That's the yardstick. When the teaching conforms your way of thinking, they say, wow, the teaching is so good. When the teaching goes against your normal way of thinking, how come, why you are saying this? Why this is said in Buddhism? I don't like this. The very purpose of Buddha's teaching is to reduce that I. You see? So I'm not saying you don't use your capacity to judge. You can, of course, very respectfully ask questions. But what I'm saying is, if you measure the correctness of the teaching based on your die-hard habit, it will not help you. It will not help you. Because you want to go. That's what I'm saying. Normally the problem with us, we see what we want to see, not what we should be seeing. So we keep on seeing the same thing, liking the same thing, listening the same thing. So don't just listen to those things which you like to listen, but also listen to the other side of the story. Listen what you should really listen. Right? Now this being the case, because of my own mistake, I'm still here, if this is my case. And if I continue to act like this, just following the die-hard habit and live like this, again and again shall I undergo suffering in unhappy realms. There may be an unhappy realm, whatever, but you will continue to suffer even when you are a human being. If you don't change for the good, if you remain addicted to something, you will continue to have the same problem. Even scientifically speaking, once we had a Mind Life meeting in Dharamsala. So there was this lady from Washington, D.C. She was, I think, the director of a big center of addiction. She said, the naturally given human brain has a big capacity to judge what is right, what is wrong. We have that. But if you let yourself addicted, then gradually the addicted part of the brain takes over, and the capacity of the brain to function naturally ceases to function. It's very dangerous. Now let me give you an example. For example, if you are somebody who doesn't smoke, you take one puff of smoke for the first time, you will start coughing. Why? Because the brain is saying, or your body is saying, it's not good for you. You still take few more puffs, you will cough. At least for a few days you will cough. Body is saying, don't do, please don't do. This is not good for your health. The brain is saying. But still, as adamant as you are, you will continue to do that because you think, sending the smoke is a big thing, and advanced, modern. People who have their hair, I don't have hair, people who have their do like that. So you continue, then after some time the brain will stop giving the advice. You will not start, you will not cough anymore. Then you will get so addicted to smoking. When you stop smoking, then your body doesn't function then. Then you start shivering, Where is my cigarette? You see? So then the addicted part of the brain takes over, and then naturally, gifted brain stops functioning. I'm talking just about smoking. And we are addicted in so many things. The worst addiction is negative emotions, as I said earlier. Even otherwise, in terms of health, you are addicted to Coca-Cola, you are addicted to coffee, you are addicted to tea, addicted to meat, whatever, Any part of addiction is not good. So these days I've been telling people that even if you want to remain healthy and enjoy tasting delicious food, then you take a small amount. If you take small amount, if you're somebody who is very fond of taking sugar, sweet, take a small amount. Don't get addicted. Then you can take sugar for the rest of your life. If you get addicted, then first few months or at least few years, you seem to be enjoying, then you become diabetic, You can't even take one punch of sugar, So moderation, don't let yourself addicted in anything, anything. Now today we see so many people who are oversized and heavy, having difficulty walking. And this is happening even with people who are like 20, 30 years old, Which is of course not good. You need to preserve this precious human life if you want to do this great Dharma practice and so forth, okay? So therefore he is saying, and if I continue to act like this, and again I shall undergo suffering in unhappy realms, or even in this life, you will have sickness, very easy, bondage, laceration, and the shedding of blood. Laceration and shedding of blood, this is talking more in terms of if you are born in a hell, for example, and then there is a lot of stories about how you will be lacerated, how you will be, your blood is taking out and so forth. So you don't need, if you can't figure that out, no need to try to understand that. But at least in this very life, you can see how people who are addicted in many things, how they go downhill in terms of their health. Okay. Now the next thing is, you should be heedful by thinking about this precious human life that you got. That's what he's saying in the next verse. You should be heedful by thinking about this precious human life that you got. This precious human life is not to be wasted. This precious human life that you got is much more precious than gold and silver that you put on your earring and things like that. Much more precious than dollar or pound or whatever. Your precious, this life is so precious. In Buddhism we call it precious human life because of this amazing human intelligence and capacity to think. So don't waste it. Use it properly. Use it properly to have happiness in this life, to have happiness in many lives to come. So therefore here heedfulness means to think that how difficult it was to obtain this precious human life. If the arising of the, for example, why this is human life is precious? If the arising or if coming of the Buddha, if the arising of the Tathagata, faith, the attainment of a human body, and my being fit to cultivate virtue are scarce, when will they be won again? That means you are now born at a time when the teaching of the Buddha may be present or not present, but the teaching of the Buddha is available. Now, even if the teaching is available, there are many people who show no faith to the teaching because they are of different, they belong to different religion, they have different ways of thinking. Now, in today's world population of 80 billion people, those who accept one or other faith, maybe, what is the population? Believers, around 2 billion maybe. I don't know, something like 2 billion, not more than that. Then there are those who don't believe in any religious practice. Then there are those who are anti-religion. Unfortunately, because of bad things done by some so-called religious practitioners, people are losing faith. So now people are talking more about spirituality, not religion. They are talking more about secular ethics, which makes sense to a great extent, because that the religious practice has to be universal. Just as we are saying in Buddhism is based on law of nature, which is universal, right? So religions should not become a dividing force. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, people are fighting in the name of religion. Fighting between Shia and Sunni, same Muslim community. Then probably even the Protestants and Catholics may be not in good term. Right? And then of course, so many major religions which may be not in good terms. So this is like medicine becoming poison. If medicine, which is supposed to heal your physical problem, if that itself becomes poison, then how are you going to treat yourself? So therefore, many people don't believe in that. Right? So therefore, if you look at the word religion, English word religion, it came from this word called religare, which means binding everybody together, bringing everybody together. So it is a good connotation. Right? But then if you look at these different religions, philosophically, these religions are different. They have different philosophical thinking. But the message is more or less same. Message is that we should all be kind, all be compassionate. So that's more important than the philosophical part. So anyway, the point is that these religious traditions should help minimize sufferings of all beings if possible, but at least human beings should not maximize our problem. So I was talking about faith. If the arising of the Tathagata, then you are born at a time when the teaching of the Buddha is available. And you also have faith or some liking and interest to the teaching, otherwise you will not be here. So you have also some interest, some faith. And then more importantly, of course, you have this human body with this amazing human intelligence. And therefore you are fit to cultivate virtue, positive qualities, which is so difficult to obtain, so scarce. So at this very special time, if you don't practice, then when are you going to practice? That is what he's saying. When will they be one again? Right now is the time. Don't wait. Don't postpone your practice. This is the right time. If you are looking for a job opportunity and for many years you didn't get that job, and suddenly there is an opportunity, you will immediately jump into it. Apply for that to get that job. So it's like that. You see, you got this very special, difficult opportunity. So therefore, this is the time. This is the time. Right? So Buddhas having come or are coming, and you're having faith and having obtained this precious human life and having many facilities, many opportunities. So therefore, if you make an effort and make your mind habituated with it, you can get habituated. So therefore, it is very rare to have such an opportunity. And if you don't do it, I don't know when are you going to get this again. That is what it's saying. Therefore, make your life meaningful. Make your human life meaningful. And not only that, right now, although today I'm healthy, we're all healthy, right? Although today I'm healthy, well nourished. Did you get your breakfast? Well nourished. Well nourished. Well nourished. Well nourished means you have clothes to wear, you have food to eat, and unafflicted. Unafflicted means you are not in a place where there is, war going on. Right? You are not afflicted by your enemy. Do you have enemies around chasing you? No. Yeah. Or even evil spirits haunting you? No. So therefore you are unafflicted. But still, don't be overconfident, because still life is momentary and deceptive. Life is momentary, we all know. Life is momentary means this life that we are living, how long we are going to live, we don't know. It is not reliable. Because it is not reliable, therefore it is called deceptive. It will be consumed moment by moment. And this body is not going to stay for a long, long time. So this is like a borrowed garment. This human form is not attained, there will be, the body is like an object on loan, like a borrowed garment. But for a minute, then you have to return it back. Okay? So you don't have that capacity to use this body again and again or continuously. The death, which is like the owner, will take away your body. So therefore, with behavior such as this, the behavior, the lifestyle by which we are living now or by which we have lived in the past, if you continue to do the same habit and behavior, I shall not win a human body again. You will not obtain this human. Don't take it for granted that now you are a human being, you will die, you will be again human being. At least from Buddhist viewpoint, there is no guarantee. I'm not saying you will always go down, you may go higher or you go lower, depending on what kind of karma you have done in this life and in many past lives. I shall not win a human body again, and if this human form is not attained, there will be solely wrongdoing and virtue, and no virtue. Then it's not possible to do anything good, like tigers and lions. All they do is killing other animals. Right? Tigers, lions, snakes, they can't do any dharma practice. They keep on like killing others for their food, that's all. If when I have the chance to live a wholesome life, my actions are not wholesome, then what shall I be able to do when confused by the misery of the lower realms? When you are born in those lower realms, then of course you will not be able to do anything that is good. And if I commit no wholesome deeds then there, because you can't if you are born in a negative state of existence, but readily amass such wrongdoing. When it comes to doing bad things, still you can do that easily. Good things you can't do, like the tiger and lion that I said. Good things probably not much, maybe a little bit. Even tigers and lions, they have some concern for young, cows or things like that. I've seen some documentaries where they are not eating them and looking after them, few cases, but generally difficult. And if I commit no wholesome deeds there, but there means when you are born in the negative lower realms, but readily amass much wrongdoing, then for 100 million eons I shall not even hear the words happy life. Forget about being born as a human being. You will not even hear about precious human life. And don't get surprised. Right now also there are so many people who don't even know what is Buddhism, what is Buddhist teaching, even in the human realm, you see, because of different karma, you see. For this very reason, the Buddha has said that as difficult as it is for a turtle to insert its neck into a yoke adrift upon the vast ocean, it is more difficult to attain the human state. This is just an example based on imagination. Let us say there is a huge ocean and in which there lives a blind turtle, and on the surface of that ocean there is a yoke with one hole floating. Because the ocean is so huge and the yoke has a small hole, and that blind turtle may be craning out its neck once in a while. And then having the crane's neck go into that hole of the yoke which is floating all around is almost impossible. So like that, obtaining human life again is extremely difficult. If even by the transgression of one instant an eon may be spent in the deepest hell, then because of the transgression I gathered since beginningless time, what need to mention my not going to happy realm? In the past also, I'm sure we did many bad things. In this life also, even if you take Bodhisattva vows, if you're not able to practice it, then the result will not be so good. That is what he's saying. Okay? So therefore he's saying that if you're born, so under this what he's saying is you should be heedful, because if you're born in that lower realm, it will be very difficult to get liberated. So before you are born there, be careful. That is what he's saying. Okay. This verse 21 is saying, even by the transgression of one instant, an eon may be spent in the deepest hell, then because of the transgressions I have gathered since beginningless time, what need to mention my not going to happy realm? That means you will go into the negative state existence. Now here in this case, the question is, we have all done so many negative things in the past, in this life also. Good deeds also. But at least what bothers us is the wrongdoing. So since we have committed so many negative bad deeds in the past or in this life, which one of them will give their fruit first? Which, out of all the negative deeds that you have done, one which is the heaviest will give it its fruit first. If the heaviness is same, then the negative deed that you have done recently before your death will bear its fruit. If that is also same, then the negative deed in which you are more habituated will give it its fruit. Like this. So there is a systematic process of producing the fruit of wrongdoing. Okay. Yet having experienced merely that rebirth in hell, I shall still not be liberated. For a while this A may not be necessary. For while it is being experienced, other wrongdoing will be extensively produced. So this here what he's saying is, you might start thinking, just like a criminal committing some sin and then being imprisoned, then you might think, okay, I'll go to the prison, then after a while, my term will be over and I will be freed from the prison. So here also you might think, okay, I want to have fun, I'm ready to go to negative life at least one time, because then after a while you will be released from there. So he's saying, don't think like that. Because while you are in the prison, while you are in the lower rebirth, you will continue to do the bad things there also. So the negative fruit will be continuous. It's not so easy to get liberated unless you change your way of thinking. Okay? Example is, for example, if you are born as a jackal or a wolf, you will continue to kill others. Right? Next, he's talking about the need to be careful. While having obtained this precious human life, you need to be careful in terms of your doing the virtuous practices. So if, when having found leisure such as these, I do not attune myself to what is wholesome, there could be no greater deception and there could be no greater folly. We all want to say that I'm an intelligent person. So he's saying, in a challenging note, he's saying that if you're really intelligent, then practice these wholesome things, cultivate these things. If you don't practice this, then there cannot be greater deception. Then you are deceiving yourself. Very, very heavily or strongly you are deceiving yourself. And if you don't do this practice, then you are definitely not intelligent. You may be able to fly an aeroplane, you may be able to swim in the sea. Still you are full. Because you still let your negative emotions run your life, control your life. So you are not intelligent. So intelligent, Buddha is an intelligent person. Because of his great intelligence, he did not remain obsessed with his family life. Right? He left his family, not because he disliked his family, but for a bigger purpose, for a bigger goal, he left his family. Nowadays, some people always ask, oh, Buddha, I like Buddha's teaching, but I don't like that he left his family and gone into the forest. But he did not go into the forest because he did not like his wife. If you read his life story, there on many occasions he was full of praise to his wife. What is the name of his wife? Yashodhara. Yashodhara. Yashodhara was a social worker. I like this statement from the Buddha very much. Yashodhara was a social worker, and this young, Siddhartha, he used to go to see her, and he would always come up thinking, oh, I don't know, then wife or fiancé, whatever, Yashodhara is such an amazing woman. She does all this social work, but just doing the social work, he will not be liberated from samsara. See, this is the point, We may be doing many good things, which is good, admirable. But if you want to get liberated from samsara, unless you remove these negative emotions within you, you will not get liberated from samsara. Right? So therefore he cared about her. And then after getting enlightenment also, some of the first few people that he came to see was his father, Yashodhara, and so forth. Right? And so he renounced this his home and family life because he has a bigger project. His concern was all sentient beings, not just one person in the family. And because of this, today there are millions of people who are inspired and getting benefit from the Buddha's teaching. Not just the Buddhists, but also many others getting benefit from it. So there could be no greater deception, so don't deceive yourself. And there could be no greater folly, so don't be a fool, become intelligent. So after this teaching, when you go back to your places, people ask you what kind of teaching you received. Then the first answer that you should give is, now I am much more intelligent than before. Right? Now I know what to give up and what to adopt. You got the wisdom. You got new eyesight, better than your new eyeglass. Okay? So this is the time. And if having understood this, I still foolishly continue to be slothful, still if you continue to be lazy, slothful means lazy, then when the hour of death arrives, tremendous grief will rear its head. As I said, tremendous grief and fear will rear its ugly head because nobody wants to die, nobody wants to suffer. Now how much you will suffer when you experience death, when you are sick, how much fear will be there when you are sick or when you die is very much dependent, primarily dependent upon how you see those things with your mind. Not just the physical pain, mental. If you have this mental strength, capacity, you can basically tolerate all kinds of problems and difficulties. So in this context, let me repeat this prayer from some of the great, Tibetan masters who were great practitioners of the mind training. So some of these great masters, they say, in their prayer, they say, I think I recited this earlier, they say, if I'm going to die tonight, wonderful. Did I say this Yeah, if I'm going to die tonight, wonderful, because I'm not going to stay, long doing bad things. In that sense, not because he is pessimistic. Because in the same vein, he says, if I'm not going to die tonight, but going to live a long, long life, wonderful, then I'm going to live a long life doing all the good things. So whatever is there, it's good. Whether it's good, good. Whether it's bad, good still. If there's sunshine, good. If there is raining, good. That kind of attitude helps you. Right? It's not saying that you just keep on saying ha ha and don't protect yourself. Of course you protect yourself as much as possible. You use your logic, brain, but then see everything with a positive perspective. Having found by some coincidence this beneficial state that is so hard to find. So that means whether it is in terms of the cause, in terms of example, in terms of number, finding this precious human life is very difficult. It's really like coincidence. Having found by some coincidence this beneficial state that is so hard to find, if now while able to, this is the main point, if now while able to discriminate, that means you have this wonderful intelligence human brain where you are able to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. Now, even when you have found this amazing human intelligence, capacity to distinguish, if you let yourself once again let into the hell, then what's happening? Why you are doing this? You found such a precious human life. You got this amazing brain to see what is right, what is wrong, what is good for you now, what is good for others, what is good temporarily, what is good in the long run. You have this capacity to judge. You are not an animal, right? You can make 5-year plan, 10-year plan. Why not 100-year plan, few aeons planning? When you can do this, when you have this capacity to do this, still if you don't do and remain slothful and lazy, and then let yourself go into the hell or lower rebirth, then as though I were hypnotized. Are you hypnotized? This is what he's saying in the next verse 27. Then as though I were hypnotized by a, in a way we are hypnotized. We are hypnotized by the negative emotions. Then as though I were hypnotized by a spell, I shall reduce this mind to nothing. Even I do not know what is causing me confusion. What is there dwelling inside me? Now you start searching. You have started doing a research. With this amazing human intelligence, the capacity to judge between what is right and what is wrong, still I'm going down and down, down, probably into the hell. Am I hypnotized? Am I hypnotized? I shall reduce this mind to nothing means you are reducing your mind to nothing means your mind is now not able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. So this is equal to having no mind. This is equal to having no mind. And this is because I do not know what is causing me confusion. What is causing me unhappy? You thought it is due to shortage of material facilities, or it is due to shortage of friends and things like that. You are searching for the cause of happiness in the wrong place. The gold is available on this side of the mountain. You are searching there. You are searching there. So what is there dwelling inside me? कौन सा भूत घुस गया अंदर? Hindi, what kind of devil had entered inside me, by which I am not able to see. So now you're really exploring and researching. With this search, then you gradually came to know that it is the negative emotions residing in you which had hypnotized you. which made you stop using your brain. So therefore the next point is, now you should be especially heedful by thinking about the destructiveness of the negative emotions, which must be abandoned. That's the next point. Okay? Verse 29. For while they dwell within my mind, for while they dwell means while these negative emotions like hatred, anger and so forth, for while they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure they cause me harm. Yet I patiently endure them without any anger. But this is an inappropriate and shameful type of patience. You see, normally practice of patience is encouraged. But in this case, you are so patient with the negative emotions, you're letting them completely destroy you in the form of attachment, in the form of anger, in the form of jealousy. This is inappropriate patience. This is shameful practice of patience. So don't be patient. With negative emotions, not to be patient is a good practice of patience. For while they dwell within my mind, I mean, look at this. For while they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure. At their pleasure means whenever they want. We are not challenging at all these negative emotions. And in fact, human beings have this very strange way of thinking that anything that is there with you, you try to glorify it. I call it smelly socks. You know, when it is your smelly socks, you think this is still clean. You might take it up to your nose and smell it, When it is the socks of other people, it may be brand new. You might think, oh, this is socks, don't touch it. So we have this habit of self-grasping. Anything that you have, you try to glorify it. You might say anger is bad, but when you get angry, you will try to justify it. Oh, I have a reason why I am getting angry. You see? So in this way, you have been allowing these negative emotions flourish within yourself. They are doing whatever they want. They are doing whatever they want because we have no control over mind. We are not trying to see what is happening in our mind. The other day I said, your boss is your mind. So you're letting your mind do everything. Right? So that's the problem. Now you know these negative emotions. The other day I explained about doing an election and giving landslide majority to the positive emotions like bodhicitta and wisdom, understanding, shunyata, and defeat the negative emotions. So therefore now you should see, for while they dwell within my mind, at their pleasure they cause me harm. Attachment is necessary. When attachment arises, oh, it is important, I have to have this. When anger arises, you think, oh, it's important. It's only this way I can challenge other people. I can defend myself. So you think these negative emotions useful. And also believe me, science does not make a distinction between negative emotions and positive emotions. Am I right? Am I right? In science also, as far as I understand, they say emotions are emotion, they are all necessary. For example, the fight and flight, the famous, statement, fight and flight response, which is now a little bit outdated, but based on this fight and flight response, if you don't have these emotions, then there is a need to fight, you will not be able to fight. If there is a need to run away, if you don't have these emotions of fear, things like that, you will not run away and you will be caught by the tiger, lion, and you will be torn into parts. Fight and flight response was a big statement, especially in the classical, science, classical physics. Now they are not paying so much attention to that. They do talk about it, but not. They've changed their tone. Now they are saying fight and flight response is not a very good response. So don't immediately fight. Don't immediately run away. Take some time, think a little bit, and you will find a good response. That's what they are saying now. right? But even science or even through common sense, a limited probably anger and attachment may be tolerable. But again, the scientists and others, I don't think they will say that, to get very, very angry and develop too much hatred is good. I don't think they'll say that, right? So in moderation, maybe. Right? Verse number 30. Should even all the gods and demigods rise up against me as my enemies, they could not lead nor place me in the roaring fire of deepest hell. As I said the other day, there is nobody who will catch hold of your leg and drag you into hell. That is what I said the other day. Right? So even the gods, demigods, however powerful your enemies are, they will not be able to throw you into the hell. But these negative emotions, they can throw you into the hell. Yet the mighty foe, these disturbing conceptions, in a moment can cast me amidst those flames of hell, which when met will cause not even the ashes of the king of mountain to remain. That means which can destroy, even the highest mountain into ashes. They can destroy you. Negative emotions. For example, the killings that you see in the world by throwing ballistic missiles and bombs, turning people into ashes, which is happening right now. This is primarily motivated by negative emotion. The ballistic missile did not flew by itself. The bombs are not invented by themselves. The machines did not come out like that. They are invented by the so-called intelligent human beings. So intelligence, as I said, is like nuclear energy. It's just potential. So what we need is not just intelligence, what we need is wisdom. We need we don't need just information, we don't need just knowledge, we need information. We need wisdom. So information, somebody wrote beautifully by saying that information is like reading all the books about how to build a ship. So just getting this awful lot of information about how to build a ship does not mean you are able to build a ship. So information is not enough, especially in today's world. Much of the information is junk information. You are wasting your time by listening to all this information. Especially if you don't have the capacity to judge what is right information and what is wrong information. Even with the right information, as I said, you may get all the information about how to build a ship, you may not be able to build it just by the information. So therefore, on the second level, you need knowledge. Knowledge is being able to build a ship. Big development. Big development. But still, how you are going to use the ship? It's the wisdom which will ensure that the ship does not sink. So in our life also, it is the wisdom that helps us not to sink into lower realms or negative state of existence. So wisdom is based on personal experience, through thinking, through listening, through meditation. Okay? All other enemies are incapable of remaining for such a length of time, as can my disturbing conceptions. The enduring enemy has neither beginning nor end. Such a wonderful observation, such a wonderful, finding. Now, in the case of external enemies, they are physical. You can also fight with them. If you can't fight, then you submit yourself to the dictates of those enemies and say, please spare my life, I'll do whatever you say. They will not only spare your life, you might even become good friends with the external enemy. You can run away, you can say sorry. They are coming from outside. You can hide. Or the enemy also sometimes gradually become very weak. But these internal enemies, where are these internal enemies? Internal enemies of negative emotions, where are they? Inside you. So where are you going to run away now? Your anger is inside you, jealousy is inside you, hatred is inside you. These negative emotions have been, and even right now they are consuming your good qualities. Because of negative emotions, you are not able to sleep properly. You get, blood pressure. You get diabetes. So many diseases are also primarily related not just to the food, but how you behave, your lifestyle. Because of your ignorant lifestyle, ignorant way of life, you consume all kinds of things that then produces all kinds of diseases. So they are within you. Now what should you do? Wherever you go, it's coming. You go to America, it's with you. You sleep on your bed, it is there. What should you do now? How are you going to dislodge them? How are you going to remove them? It's only by seeing the negativeness of these negative emotions slumbering peacefully within yourself. You need to understand them, how destructive anger is, how destructive jealousy is. So now here, I do this every time when I give a teaching. I tell people that be honest and fair with the negative emotions also. Don't just keep on saying the negative emotions are bad, because it is said by Buddha and other teachers. Be honest with negative emotions also. So do a research and make a long list of negative emotions versus positive emotions. And then analyze each of them. Like for example, anger. What are its benefits? What are its destructiveness? Honestly and fairly. And through this research and analysis, if you find anger very, very useful, much more useful than destructive, then be angry. Be angry. I remember this very well. One time, some years back, a group from Iran came to Dharamsala. Mostly CEOs, a big group. And I don't know why, somebody must have told, they invited me to give half day, teaching and talk to them and ask question answers. So there was during the question answer session, there was a gentleman who said, Geshe Lhakdor, your teaching is very, very good, but I'm very hot-tempered man, Whenever somebody makes me angry, I just punch them. So what is your answer? I said, go ahead, continue. Go ahead, continue. If you think this is good, continue, you will learn. But you don't need a particular answer or particular teaching. Just continue, you will see. I said this because I had heard in Tibet, there was in some areas in Tibet, people are like warriors, they are very fond of fighting, Even parents encourage them to fight, you see. So this now looks a little bit uncivilized, but that was there in the past. So there, I heard this story of a young man who would always speak of a fight with somebody, even use a knife, kill somebody. The parents say, okay, no problem, good, you won. So we have given birth to a brave son, good, go ahead, continue. And then maybe he would always say, I'm fighting with everybody, but there is no mother's son. No mother's son means son of the mother, means somebody who is brave, So I never met a mother's son until now. So somebody said, don't do like this. One day you will definitely meet the real mother's son. So in fact, one day he met such a person. They had a quarrel and then they started using the knife. The other fellow used the knife here and all his internal organs came out. And he had all his internal organs in his hand. And then he came home. Today I met the real mother's son. You see? So if you don't, as we had already stated, if you don't listen to these teachings right now, the good advices right now, very soon you will experience the negative result. Right now you are physically healthy, you may have some material facilities, then you make friendship with okay. So in Tibetan we say, don't make friendship with okay. It's not okay. Think carefully. Think carefully. Right? So that's it. That's what he's saying, Yeah. So this negative emotion that is within you, they can be removed and dislodged only by using the light of wisdom. Only by seeing how destructive they are. So in this context I was saying, please do a research. And if you are able to do a good research, send me the result. I also want to know. Anger is good or bad. But normally we say anger is very bad for health. The other day I said, when you get angry, the first thing that it does is you become ugly. Nobody wants to become ugly, right? Your blood pressure increases. Nobody wants to increase their blood pressure. And the worst is you lose your sense of judgment when you get angry, right? And you become mad. You become a madman. Mad means when you are not sure what you are saying, what you are doing, when you get angry, that means mad person, right? And there's nobody who says that today I was very angry, so I really enjoyed the day, right? And also nobody makes a motivation right in the morning thinking today I'll get angry, because you already have some sense, inkling of idea that anger is not good. But somehow because of the hostile environment or your mood is not good, you get angry, pick up a fight with somebody, then after that, again there's nobody who says, I really enjoyed the day. Even in terms of money, we are all fond of money. It's very expensive. Anger makes everything very expensive. I have a book published in America where it says that America loses billions of dollars because of anger. There's nothing to directly do with the Dharma. It's the reality of life, When you are angry, then there is rash driving and people just shoot. Everybody has a gun. Then how many, killings are going on in schools, universities, you see? And look at what is happening in Ukraine, you see. All those beautiful things that constructed for so many years are now into rebels. So anger is always compared with a conflagration of fire. Attachment has always been compared to water, river, right? So if you continuously develop anger, you will be consumed by that conflagration of fire. Fire means to consume, to burn. Now in this case, in war, the fuel that is being used is live human beings, right? There is one beautiful prayer to Tara, female Tara Devi. So there it compares anger to fire and attachment to water and things like that. So sometimes when I hear about flood in certain countries, I do think this has a connection with attachment. Like for example, the tsunami and things like that. Sometimes we mistreat animals so much, probably this is a response, you see. Right? Okay, maybe some questions? If you have some burning questions.
Well, I have a question about the anger. Well, many years ago when I was much younger, I had, I think, a lot of suppressed anger, so I was not able to feel anger and I was not able to express it. And but also I was not able to set my boundaries, so I was not able to say no. If someone would approach me and would do something I don't want, I wouldn't say no. And then I learned to kind of express my anger and feel it, and then I learned to set my boundaries. And I mean, afterwards I learned to use this energy in a more positive way to don't let out my anger, but just set my boundaries. But I observe this a lot in Western culture, that especially women have like a lot of suppressed anger and can't set their boundaries. So I was wondering, what is the Buddhist perspective on that, and how to deal with these kind of suppressed anger?
Anger and hatred are different. Anger sometimes you express is okay. Hatred is not okay. Ill will is not okay. Hatred means deep down you hatch that ill will. Okay, if the opportunity comes, I will revenge. That is very bad. It will, of course, not consume so much other person, it will consume you. Is the problem with all these negative emotions is you will become the first casualty. For example, if I sit here and develop all kinds of strong negative emotions, especially anger and hatred towards the enemy who has taken our country, this will have not an inch of difference to them. They may not even know what is going on in my mind, but I am suffering here. So that you need to know, first of all. Your anger or your other negative emotions hardly do anything destructive to others. You will be destroyed. So the point that I'm making is, if you get angry, it's in a way natural. You get angry, express it, then if possible, if there's an opportunity, say sorry, finish the matter. Don't maintain hatred and ill will. Okay? That's okay. Like small kids fighting and then over, playing together. So we have to have that courage to say sorry. Again, if you look at our human die-hard habit, it's so funny and so strange, which actually shows how strongly we are habituated with negative emotions. For example, let us say somebody was my friend, very close friend for the last 30 years. Very close friend for the last 30 years. This morning during the breakfast, we had some misunderstanding. And we had some unpleasant verbal exchanges, or maybe even using fist a little bit. That fight was, let us say, for 5 minutes. Now look at the strange thing. You will remember that fight of 5 minutes, and you will not remember that 30 years long friendship. This is our way of thinking. So now as a practitioner, what we should do is, having had that fight, then after the fight is done, you should have the courage to go to that person and say sorry. Hug that person, shake hand, whatever. We have been such a good friend for the last 30 years. Unfortunately, this unpleasant thing happened this morning, so I'm really, really sorry. It may be, don't think about who is right, who is wrong, just say sorry. Then your friendship will continue to stay. It's such an amazing thing, But we'll never do it, because if you do it, they will say, oh, she must have made a mistake. She apologized. That's the wrong way of thinking, you see. And one who don't apologize, they think he's the one who is right, you see. Normally, the criminals never acknowledge what the criminal activities they do, you see. So you should learn these things, Why you remember these small bad things than the good things that you have been experiencing for the last 30, 40 years, right? So that's important. Then another more important, not just anger, but what is important is, we've been discussing about the importance of wisdom. Not just compassion, but wisdom. So if you have a very proper sense of intelligence and wisdom, you will know your boundary. You must know your boundary. Don't just put a boundary, around your house, but you should also have a boundary. And normally the best boundary is created by those people who always do spiritual practices. If you look at the image of the Buddha, you will see a halo around his head. That halo is not necessarily light, but it talks about it as positive charge, positive energy. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has this, and others, I have seen 1 or 2 teachers, not many. When you go to see them, you just can't go very close towards them. You feel some, boundary. They are not saying don't come, but you when you enter into that energy field, You feel it. So something like that. You should have that integrity in your case also, based on wisdom, compassion, love, and the capacity to say no when it is you with your intelligence. You know that is wrong. Just say no politely. Things like that. So the real courage comes with wisdom, with knowledge, not through anger, not through jealousy. Right? The reason people often resort to anger is they think it gives you an energy, an added energy. It is true, you get some extra energy, but that extra energy is blind energy. It is unsure whether it will hit the target or not, because you are mad now. So instead of anger, you can develop similar kind of courage, similar kind of, much bigger kind of courage and confidence, based on knowledge, based on truth, based on justice. For example, if you are honest, you get that courage to say things, you see. Normally people who don't have the justice, truth on their side, they will be the first who pick up a physical fight, because you have nothing to say to defend yourself. So the only thing is the animal way, jump upon it. If you have the right things to say, then why you need to pick up that physical fight? If you want me go to the court, we'll go to the court. I have every reason to put forth. I am honest. So that will actually give you confidence. So therefore people like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, who remained in that Robben Island for 20 years. Then Mahatma Gandhi, who struggled this, with just this small loin cloth or whatever, ordinary cloth that he was wearing, and with nothing else, with this stick, he was fighting this mighty army with weapons and horses. He was not scared. So this is based on training. When your mind is highly trained, you don't fear death, and you very happily welcome to challenge and fight those who do wrong things without resorting to arms. That is what the Buddha did, right? So then your sense of fear and all these things go away. But that doesn't mean you lose your boundary. You very, very much defend your boundary, just as His Holiness is doing, just as Mahatma Gandhi is doing. Okay.
Here?
Yeah.
According to the Buddhist perspective, the rebirth can take place in other planets or dimensions or universe.
Yeah.
Can be anywhere. And I have another one. You mentioned that many Buddhas came to the world already. So in Buddhism, they see Jesus Christ or other beings like Muhammad or Lao Tzu as a Buddha also?
No, as I said, and as we read already, you can never say who is who, even among ordinary people. Then Jesus and Muhammad and others who benefited so many people, definitely a kind of Bodhisattva or something, you see. So you can't say they cannot be good because they belong to other religions. No. And even in the Buddha's teaching, he said he will appear in different forms, depending upon what people need. The other day we read that for people who want to cross river, he will become a bridge. People who are hungry, he will become a food. I don't think you can eat Buddha. It's just manifestation. So depending upon what people need, it's also said sometimes he might even appear in the form of a devil or something, if that is useful, Yeah, possible, yeah. So therefore, even in Muslim tradition, I once was driving with a, I think, taxi driver or three-wheeler driver, something like that. I was traveling around in Delhi. So I always end up talking about spiritualities. And then in India, people are so spiritual-minded. The taxi driver or three-wheeler driver, they have a lot of things to say about spirituality. So once it happened that my driver was the Muslim, so we started talking. And he said, all the great teachers, he said, including Dalai Lama, ye bhi Allah ka banda hai. That means he is also the people sent by the Almighty God, Allah. You see, it's a very good way of thinking. Anybody who is doing good things, ye bhi Allah ka banda. He is the member of that good family. Right? Yeah. Because bad people are there in Buddhist society also. In any religion, many bad people are there, many good people are there, you know. Okay? Yeah?
You touched earlier a little bit on like religious conflicts, and I come from like the border of Ireland where there's a lot of conflict still between Catholics and Protestants, and it's been going on for like 50, 60 years, and it's kind of one of these things that's just bred into people since they're children. But I'd be so interested to see like the Buddhist perspective on how would you ever see that coming to an end? Like how would you ever see that coming to an end,
How
the
to?
conflict? How would you see it coming to an end, the conflict there that's just like bred into children for the last like 50 or 60 years?
The conflict that is there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't predict. But the thing is, you know, it is conflict or war is based on insanity and against the nature, against harmony. So sooner or later people will see their limitation. Sooner or later people will have to stop it. Unfortunately, after having destroyed both the sides, unfortunately, many a times. Because we have seen many a times, you know, when, that's what His Holiness is saying. You know, once His Holiness was invited to Baghdad at the time of Saddam Hussein, you know, there were a lot of problems going on there. I think some of the journalists probably, they may be, they were like, I don't know, teasing him or, you know, they asked the question whether he can visit there to stop that war. And His Holiness said, forget about solving that problem there. I may not be able to find a hotel to stay there because I know nothing. And the reason he was saying that was, all these things should be stopped right in the beginning, when the problem, there was a likelihood for the, you know, spread of that conflict. Just like, you know, what this famous saying, what this, by dosing that small little spark of fire can save forest fire, you see. So like that, normally we don't take care. Preventions are better than cure, as we say. We don't do any preventive measures. So then they don't think about the negative consequences of conflict or war, and everybody says, I am going to defend my country, I am going to defend my country. But this is actually not so much dependent on their country. They want to preserve their chair, their authority, win their election, you see, unfortunately, in many cases. So they don't listen, they wage a war, they start the conflict. Then after a while, they are tired because of death and destruction, you know, then they say, cease fire. It has always happened like this, fight and then after a while, cease fire. Because how much you are going to kill, you see? Especially in today's world, you know, it's assured mutual destruction. If you wage a war, especially today with all this kind of powerful destructive weapons, it is an assured mutual destruction. And you will soon see it. People think, oh, I have this much nuclear bomb, that one. But you're also a human being, you know. Sooner or later you will suffer in this way, that way, you know, you will suffer. Right? But then your main question is it possible that we can able to stop? I hope people will gradually learn something. Because of modern media and technology, now you get the information very easily. So people might hopefully wake up and raise slogans, and make demonstrations against all this senseless killing and war. It happened already somewhere, you see. So that is, I think, necessary. That is necessary. Okay?
Hello, so thank you first of all for your precious teachings and spreading the Dharma here. I'm really grateful for that. So we have learned that all beings suffer and that we shouldn't harm any beings. And we had actually a hot discussion yesterday in our group about the relationship between compassion and eating meat. So, do you think that is that the person is less compassionate when eating other beings?
Good question. Yeah, there has been a lot of debate about eating meat, right from the time of the Buddha. Question was even asked many times directly to the Buddha, whether you can eat meat or not meat. On certain occasions, the Buddha said you can eat. On certain occasions, he said don't eat. For example, there is a sutra called Lanka Avatara Sutra, Buddha's descent into Lanka Sutra. So it is said in those days, people in that place were cannibals. So in that sutra, he says you cannot eat any kind of meat at all. And then there are other occasions where he says that if it is a meat which is free from 3 faults, then you can eat. 3 faults means if you have not seen that the meat is especially that killing is done specially for you, you have not seen it, you have not heard it, you have no doubt, then you can eat. So there are a lot of questions like that. Then when there is more further argument, the reason we say you can't eat meat is because you're harming other animals. You may not be directly killing them, but somehow you are contributing. If that is the reason, then you can't eat rice, you can't eat a grain, you can't wear leather jacket, you can't wear leather shoes, because they all come from animals. And I saw one article, the content I don't remember very well, but at least the title is, "The vegetarians do more harm than the non-vegetarians." How far this is true, I don't know. I'm not defending, non-vegetarianism. But what I say is that if you are able to remain vegetarian, that is best, in accordance with the teaching, and also for your health, that is best. Like for us who came from Tibet, normally we defend our position by saying, oh, Tibet was cold climate, there was not many, vegetables and fruits available, things like that. But now you are not living in Tibet. You are living in India, where all kinds of vegetarian foods are available. So you should, change your food habit, and it is changing. It takes time for anything, but it's changing. I remember very well that in early days there was not a single vegetarian restaurant here in McLeodganj. Now there's so many. Not necessarily in terms of Buddhist practice, but also in terms of their health, etc. People are gradually, doing that. And then in the past in Tibet, there were many Tibetans great teachers who wrote about, who promoted vegetarianism. Yeah. So my suggestion is, if possible, become vegetarian. If not possible, at least less meat. Not just because you concern your health, where you say, white meat is better than red meat. That's your concern for health. And then there are others who say, oh, fish is not meat. It's grown in the ocean, so it's another vegetable. There are others who say things like that. So these are lame excuses, right? So my suggestion is, if you are vegetarian, wonderful. If you can't, at least reduce. And environmentally also, the animal products, meat, is one of the most severe, causes for pollution, things like that, right? But at the same time, I must also say there are some core, vegetarian, not only vegetarian, but vegans, who say that the only thing good you can do is to become vegetarian. Die-hard kind of vegetarians. So that, I think, is one extreme. Because they say, if you are vegetarian, then you steal, you rob, whatever you do, it's fine. Just become vegetarian. So that's also one extreme. Anyway, Middle way, yeah. You had a question here.
Sorry.
Yeah, last question then.
I have a question about rebirth. Can we say that our mind in the process of our life kind of rebirth in different realms, like when we
Divorce.
rebirth? Try to explain. If I can't explain, yes, rebirth.
Yeah, okay.
So it's 6 realms, 3 good and 3 bad. And if we now in our human life have a lot of anger or jealousy, so can we say that when we feel it more and more and more, it's like kind of rebirth, or it... Можно помощь зала, кто мне переведет?
I can try to. If I'm angry, I can be.
Я скажу по-русски.
I'm a human, but if I'm angry, can I be in
Нет, нет.
the
No.
God's realm or in the hand?
No, sorry, the question is another.
No, it's.
Можно ли сказать, что мы испытываем эти перерождения в текущей человеческой жизни? То есть, когда мы испытываем много злости, у нас появляется привычка постоянно злиться, и наше состояние ума становится постоянно таким, как будто бы мы находимся в реальности, ада.
Хорошо. Yeah.
In this life we feel always anger, and so we don't like our life, and we always upset. And everything. Is it coming from different rebirths and from different lives? And because it's like without the end every time, is it like you did something in the past?
Yeah.
Like this reason?
Yeah, it is past life also, not just past life, present environment also. But I don't think you are angry all the time. No, there's no right. You're not angry all the time. You may be getting angry, continuously, meaning that once in a day or something like that, but you're not angry all the time. So therefore, it is important to think more about the good things that you are doing. Don't just think that I'm angry all the time. No, you are not angry all the time. 100% sure. Nobody can remain angry all the time. Okay? Yeah. And then whether you are angry or not, you're just by developing that anger, you are not either in heaven or in hell. You are still human being. So that development of positive and negative emotion will become a cause for good rebirth, bad rebirth. But right now you are a human being. And it's important to recall many of the positive qualities that you have and the capacity to reduce that anger, right? That's very important. And then with the marriages and other things, divorce and other things, the most important thing is, before you marry, judge carefully. Once you have judged carefully, still there is no guarantee. People change, you see. But at least it will be a little bit better. And then again, unfortunately, you thought that person was very good, but later on he changes, becomes very bad. Then, I don't know much about all these things, but my common sense says that if you instead of fighting all that for the rest of your life with somebody, I think divorce is better. Right? There's no fun tying your head with somebody and fighting all the time, Okay, thank you. Lunchtime. Oh yeah.